Good morning, everybody. I'm getting ready to set up and do a podcast if this thing works, because it's kind of acting up a little bit. Hope everybody's doing fantastic, magnificent, and marvelous. Like I said, I'm getting ready to do a podcast, but it's like it's having some issues this morning. So, what I want to come on through and say is it is so fascinating to me when because I was just reading something this morning, because I love, as I told you guys, I love to read, and it feels so good to read something that I can comprehend on all levels of my expression. And what does that mean? I mean, because I told you I'm a visual, I have a strong visual sense, but I've enhanced my auditory and my feelings and emotions, sensing and receiving, that kind of stuff. But it feels good to read something that I can comprehend. And like I said, it's striking on all of my expressions. It's like I can visualize it being reproducible. I can hear it being reproducible. It's striking my ears and my sensing of sound so well. And and how I feel it's a fantastic feeling to understand something. So imagine how it will feel to an individual to be understood. I think that's a great feeling to people, to be understood. And I think that's the factors that we run into when it involves ourselves. Is we want to be understood. We want people to understand us, and we want people to relate as well. So it's a great feeling. So I was just reading something this morning, and it just got me stirred up. I want to come in and do a podcast, but I'll do a podcast later in today. I'll figure out what's going on. But I just want to go ahead and share this on this Sunday morning. It's a Sunday, everybody. Sunday, my favorite day of the week. It is calming in the neighborhood. I shouldn't say that because, I told you this neighborhood is extremely, extremely active. There's a lot going on all day long. People are, kind of moving around and, just constantly in movement and, talking. And I don't think people realize how their voice travels. And so that's why you have to be very considerate. You really do. You need to be considerate of others. And that will keep you, from being unfairly targeted sometimes because people remember things, even though they may say they don't. People remember how you treat them. That's why it's so important to treat people kind and be gentle and patient and friendly with people. People remember how you treat them, especially if you go into a grocery store and you're carrying on, or you go into a restaurant and you're carrying on and making a scene, and you're getting all upset about stuff and pulling out your cell phone, attempting to embarrass people. You have to really, really, really be cautious of that type of behavior, and put yourself in that other person's shoes. Nobody wants to be embarrassed. Nobody wants to be humiliated, and nobody wants to be looked down upon. Why in the world would anyone want to experience that type of targeting towards them like that? We all make mistakes, okay? Sometimes, a lot of us got a lot going on. A lot of people are just really, really intentionally overwhelmed, and the intentional overwhelm comes from themselves, and also it comes from the environment. It comes from police departments, it comes from government officials, it comes from, politicians, it comes from neighbors, it comes from family. That's where the intentional overwhelm stirs itself and affects all of us. And a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people are dealing with things. They're worried about, okay, am I going to be able to pay my mortgage? Am I going to be able to pay my rent? I am going to be able to pay my light bill, my water bill. So, but anyway, reading some material today from Beam, they put out some material. And like I said, it just feels so good to feel to know the effects of your efforts do pay off. They do pay off. It's worth meditating. Okay, it's worth contemplating and cultivating and thinking for yourself. It is worth it. You will feel a sense of joy and enthusiasm. And even in the midst of chaos and destruction, you will get through it. You know, because when I say it's about survival, I'm talking more so about the survival of your consciousness. Whereas if you continue to operate, some of us continue to operate in such a manner, you're going to damage your consciousness so much to where you're going to see that your life is not worth it, and you're going to take actions, you know, that most people do. And let's just talk about it: suicide. Excuse me, dear. So it's important to think for yourself and be gentle with yourself if you make mistakes. And remember that how you are behaving and acting towards other people, a lot of people, that gets imprinted on a lot of people's memory. It's an imprint in their memory. And you just don't want that type of energy around you, because, you know, I do not, and I said this in another video, if I have an issue with a restaurant, if I go into a restaurant and I feel a certain kind of way, some kind of way, I'm not going in there. I'm going to say, you know, I'm sorry, but let's go to another restaurant, blah, blah, blah. You know, that's why it's always good to have backup plans. If we walk into a restaurant together, if we're going out together, and you know, when I get in there and I feel a certain type of energy, and you know, even though I want that steak, the medium rare steak, honey, how do I like it? Medium well. I like my steak medium well. Let's have a backup plan. Okay, so what if I walk in there, you know, or we walk in there, and because a lot of people, like I told you, people that can pick up, you know, where their hair is standing up on the back of their neck, that's some powerful energy there, and you need to trust that. I told you about that superstar, and everybody knows who she is. She's sitting in a restaurant or sitting in a cafe with a friend, and they're having a conversation. She had her cell phone on the table, right there, you know, within the arms, you know, it's just sitting on the table. She wasn't holding it, which you don't need to be holding your cell phone all day long, but we do. So her cell phone's sitting on the table. You know, she's minding her business, talking with her whoever was there with her, you know, having a great conversation. And then all of a sudden, somebody walked past her, and I noticed because someone videotaped it, I noticed something about her eyes, and I think what it was is that her sensing, you know, whether she's auditory, visual, in her feelings, and I think this person was a visual, because she's high powered. I mean, she's one of the most elite athletes of our time. So, and she's a female, black female. I mean, there's a lot of those, right? So try to figure it out. But anyway, you know, this person walked past her, and I think she may have felt something. The hair standing on the back of her neck, honey. That's that instinct that's strong. You're picking up energy. He walks past her, and I think her eyes started moving a little bit, and then he came back. I'm not sure which direction, and he took her phone off the table. And guess what, honey? She went after him. Instead of, you know, smashing his head into a window and taking her phone, she said to him, hey, you know, I don't know what she said to him, but she was very calm about it. And then he's like, oh, you know, come on. So that's why it's so important to know how you express yourself. I told you I'm more visionary. So that's why in school, I was bored to death, because the teachers, you know how the teachers were. Good grief. So you have to know if someone's visual, if someone's more auditory. Auditory is usually are talking all the time. They're talking all the time. I think about one of my young relatives. I hope she's grown out of that. Disrupting the class, so loud. You know, they're loud, they're disrupting the class, they're talking, they're singing. auditory, baby. They're auditories. And then you got the ones in their feelings that, they're crying in a corner. I mean, let me stop. Oh, God. They easily are disturbed about something. Something's bothering them. It's a physical thing always going on with the with the feelers. And the feelers can be violent. If you're a feeler, you can be violent. So keep that in mind. But yes, so it's so important to know how to express yourself so that people can know how to communicate with you. Like with me, you got to put some visuals in my face, honey. Drop it in my face. But I also like the auditory. I like some smooth sounds in my ear too. By the way, because like I said, I enhance everything, my feelings too. I'm no longer disregard others' feelings and just say, okay, whatever. They're just being all dramatic and saying that kind of stuff underneath my breath. They boo-hooing and ugly crying and carrying on, and I'm like, oh God, not again. So, I learned how to be more considerate. Okay, genuinely, I'm carrying on and joking, but if you ugly crying and carrying on, I'm going to be there and be supportive as best I can and help you through whatever that is and whatever that's about. Seriously, I like to have fun, but yeah, I'll take care of you as best I can in those expressions of your people call them modalities. I'm sure that word belongs to somebody, and they're glad I'm using it. Just like gaslighting. Okay. But it's important to know how you express yourself so that you can properly get your needs met and say to a person, okay, I don't see what you're telling me. That should tell you right there. They're visual. Or wait a minute, I don't understand what I'm hearing from you. Okay, you just offended me right now. Okay, what is that? Feelings. You're offending me. Your tone is offending me, and our tones can offend people, by the way, and uplift people as well. And the way we're, and like how we're, how our facial expressions and our tones and our sounds and our eyes, you can tell when somebody's angry. Okay, you can tell when somebody's pissed off, and because I'm not mad. I ain't mad. You know how they say I ain't mad about nothing. Well, that's a contradiction actually. Damn well you upset with me about something. So there's just so much to learn. I love it. And like I said, I love when I can comprehend and understand things. And it's striking all through my brain, through my consciousness, my psyche, through my body. It just feels good to know that we do have the right type of teachers out there. We all have to choose, because it's free will, who we want to take in knowledge from. Because remember, you're taking in knowledge. A lot of people think they come from knowledge. No, but you can come from knowledge. You can be spewing out knowledge, but you have to learn that from somebody. Okay, don't come here telling me that you just was born with all of that. That's BS. Okay, you have to learn something from somebody, a human being, preferably. You can learn from nature and animals too. Okay. And just reading books is not going to do it. You have to have the experiences. You have to be able to share your experiences in your knowledge as you are attempting to teach people whatever, if that's what you're doing, motivate them. You need to be walking the talk. Okay, and not be rambling and talking in circles and being deceptive, because I can pick it up. I can pick up deception on these videos where these so-called scientists are carrying on and throwing their hands around and trying to get you looking here, look this way, and then something else is going on behind the scenes. They're hitting hands. A lot of these so-called scientists, and I'm not calling any names, but they get paid very well for their performance. Let's be clear and effective about that. They're performing. They're helping to hide what these entities are doing. Whether it's Walt Disney, allegedly, NASA, allegedly. Something's going on that nobody wants to tell us. And then all of a sudden we're talking about UFOs and they unearth some alien. Come on. Stop it. People are playing with your intelligence or lack thereof. Some of these so-called scientists on these social media platforms are talking to their audience as if you're idiots and that you'll believe anything. Is that true? Do you believe anything that's coming out of their mouths? Or do you research it? Or you bring some reason to it, some logic to it, and you're being rational and saying, okay, does this make sense to me? Does this actually make sense? And a lot of people talking abstract. And so abstract requires your thinking and your contemplating, cultivating. It requires a lot of work. And a lot of people just don't have time for it. They don't want to make time for it. That's why meditation is so important as well for that. So it feels good on this Sunday to get up. I had my breakfast. I'm telling you, I like to snack on something all day long, and I like to have something to drink all day long. That's just how I roll, Hint, hint. So anyway, I'm gonna see what's up with the with the software for my podcast, and so I'm gonna go ahead and resolve that. Do a podcast for Sunday and put that out, and then share this video. And then if I have anything else I want to share, I would definitely come back. But I want to end it with this. There are a lot of things going on this planet. There's only one planet that we have, and it's already past a destruction phase. It's not a crisis anymore. Okay, so we need to get in tune with what is really going on. And that starts by being grounded in your reality and paying attention to what you see, hear, and feel, sense, and receive. And make sure it's not fantasy, it's not imagination, that is real. And trust how you feel about it. Trust what comes from you about it. And ask yourself questions. Ask yourself, am I being delusional right now? Okay, how do I become undelusional? And then your consciousness will help cultivate things for you, cultivate experiences for you to unravel your unconsciousness, your delusional thinking, delusional behavior and actions, and this and that and the other. Trust what you are pre-wired to have inside of you. These factors are inside of you, have been there for millennia, as a form of your developing. You have the tools inside of you. Okay, so trust that. Be gentle. Be gentle with other people too. Tell you, I'm going to talk more about that. I'll probably talk about that on the podcast, about how you have to really, really be aware of how you're treating people. You're putting imprints in people's minds and brains and memories where they're going to remember you. And they're going to remember how you made them feel. They're going to hear some of the things you said to them. They're going to see how your behavior and actions were. You just don't want that type of interaction with someone, especially if they're serving you. We need to be respectful to the servers as well. I said that a while ago about how we're treating people that service us. Why in the world would you mistreat someone that's serving you? That's like a slow suicide. That's like you're committing suicide. As they say, biting the hand that feeds you. Come on now. So let's snap out of it and vow that we will snap out of it. And get it more in tune with our realities and our sounds and how we are talking to each other and talking to ourselves via our thoughts. Let's neutralize that sound. Listen to some music that inspires you, to harmonize you, neutralize you. Okay? So I'm going to send peace and love to everyone all over the stars, all over the moon and the mountains. Nothing but love. Peace and love. And trust me, I'll be back.